Good evening, viewers. Welcome to the Economic Briefcase. Today, the 2nd of January, 2023. With me in the studio tonight is Dr. Luvinda Habazoka. And we have a very interesting topic for you tonight, where we are going to be talking about the public-private dialogue. And today in the studio with us is Miss Jacqueline Chishimba from the PPDF. Yes. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having the PPDF and having me. Good evening, and good evening to all our viewers and listeners.
Good evening, Doc.
Good evening. How has been the week?
The week has been okay. How's been yours?
No, it has been a very busy week, and unfortunately I lost a sister to my father, so burial is tomorrow. So losing two aunts in the space of 3 weeks. The year has started at rather a very difficult moment.
My condolences.
But such is life.
Condolences.
Thank you very much.
So as per tradition, we'll straight on look at what's prevailing on the market. So the market updates today, the 22nd of February, 2023. Let's look at the kwacha against the four major currencies. The kwacha closed off selling against the dollar at 19 kwacha, 17 ngwe. The pound closed selling at 23 kwacha, 58 ngwe. The euro closed selling at 21 kwacha, 7 ngwe. The rand closed selling at 1 kwacha, 13 ngwe. Selected metal prices delayed by a day. Aluminium closed off selling at $2,611 per ton. Copper closed selling at $9,175 per ton. Zinc closed off selling at $3,439.50. Lead closed off selling at $2,145 per ton. Tin closed selling at $29,550. Nickel closed off selling at $30,060 per ton. Crude oil prices. WTI crude closed selling at 75 kwacha, 75.91. Brent crude closed selling at $82.19. So that's all for the market update.
So we've seen that from the rates, we have seen that the Zambian kwacha is losing strength against the US dollar. We have also seen that oil prices are stabilizing low, and what is causing the fuel pump prices to go up in Zambia?
Of course, that's a major question at hand, because last year, December, we were almost at $82 around there, and the pump prices were lower. Okay. So I think it's just what's happening in the global
so the negative impacts about the fuel pump prices, are we not going to mop liquidity from households and businesses? Is it going to be very easy? What do we expect to see? Bank of Zambia has raised its reserve ratios by over 2%. Next monetary policy meeting also expected to see the policy rate go up higher. Are we not squeezing liquidity in the economy?
Definitely, as it is already, there's no liquidity in the economy. There's no money in circulation. I think raising the policy and also the increment in various energy products would definitely make it worse.
Well, I think that in order for us to make things very easy in the economy, we need government to engage the private sector so that we can be able to see the way forward. Maybe further engagements between the private sector and government, and even households will see us maybe reach an optimal space. And for that, ladies and gentlemen, today in the studio with us is Miss Jacqueline Chishimba. She's Director Strategic Communication. She's Director Strategic Communication and Partnership at the Public-Private Dialogue Forum, for which I'm also a member. This forum was set up by government to enhance collaboration or a dialogue between government, between state and non-state actors. So today you will be able to call in. You can send us your text messages, all the numbers that are appearing on the screen. You can also call us. Those of you watching on TV, if your bundles finish, your TV bundles finish, you can go to YouTube. You can switch on your internet bundles. You can watch us on YouTube. You can also watch us live on Facebook. You can participate by sending your questions on our Facebook page. You can also send text messages. We'll be opening the phone lines in less than 10 minutes. You can also call so that you can put your voice. Those of you that are in the private sector, the guest that we have today in the studio is somebody that works at an organization that links government and the private sector. So if you are doing a business, if you think you have something to say, today is the right time maybe to pose that question or to add your contribution so that we can move this country forward. Madam Chishimba, it's a pleasure to have you in Cabinet TV, especially the Economic Briefcase program. As per tradition, we normally want I know a lot of people know you from your journalism background, but for the purpose of our church-going and Christian viewership and other viewers from across the country, maybe you just briefly tell us who is Madam Jacqueline Chishimba.
Since you started with our Christian viewers, I want to declare that I'm a Christian. I actually worship with Miracle Life Family Church.
We want you
in Roma.
We want you to join the Cabinet family.
Interesting. Well, I'm a communication, leadership, and strategist, expert. I've practiced communication for the last 30 years, leadership about 15 to 18, and this is my 12th year in strategy. Yes, I've worked both in quasi-government institutions, international institutions such as the United Nations and USAID, and now I'm on an initiative of the President, which is a program of the government of Zambia and supported by the IFC. I have a passion in communication, ensuring that I communicate correctly to the people, and whatever task is put before me is communicated. And that is why now being at the PPDF, we feel that a year plus later, we definitely have to communicate what the PPDF is doing, what it's going to do in the future, the achievements, the challenges, and how we're endeavoring to ensure that public and private sector work together to grow this economy and create jobs.
Okay, so just a little bit about PPDF.
PPDF.
Yes. I know you spoke about it in your introduction, but just a brief introduction about the
PPDF.
About the PPDF.
So the Public-Private Dialogue Forum, as you're aware, is an initiative of the President. That's President Hakainde Hichilema. If you recall, when he was in opposition, he was very emphatic about we need the private sector to own the economy of Zambia. And when he forms government with his team, they'll ensure that happens. So whilst planning on that, he was even speaking to donors. Immediately after elections, it was decided that the PPDF should be formed. And the PPDF was set up with support from the IFC. So the PPDF is an organized platform, very well structured, that brings together the private sector and the public sector to come and dialogue on the table. But what are they dialoguing about? It's to look at the bottlenecks. In simple terms, what are the challenges? What are the difficulties that have been impeding business growth in Zambia? Okay, so these challenges are identified. The next question is, how do we overcome them? And what are the solutions? So the two partners have to talk. Now, when you go back, you realize that there had been a lot of mistrust between public sector and private sector. Public sector will actually point to private sector for maybe evading taxes, not doing a lot of things. Meanwhile, the private sector would also say government is passing policies minus consulting us. We are the people in the factory. We are the manufacturers. We are the entrepreneurs. How do you hike fees for licenses without talking to us? So this platform wants to create a win-win situation. But on the one hand, it wants to take away the notion and the practice that government is the one to create jobs, that government is the one to grow the economy. Okay? It's to move it now to private sector. So private sector understands that it's a level playing field. Government is there to ensure that the environment is enabling for private sector to grow the business and create jobs. So that's the anchorage of the public-private dialogue forum. But then how we work is we work through what are known as technical working groups. So allow me to start from the technical working groups where Doc here actually belongs in two, I believe, isn't it?
Yes,
the finance technical working group and the manufacturing technical working group. So these are sector technical working groups. So far, 7 have been set up, plus an 8th one, which was an ad hoc technical working group for just look into issues of Zamtel. We have the 7 that we set up: manufacturing, mining, tourism, finance, digitalization, and media, and the others, tourism inclusive, that were set up. What happens is the private sector comes with its representatives from the industry players, the association, the regulators, they all come together. Government comes with its line ministry. So if we're talking about Ministry of Tourism, or we're talking about the Tourism Technical Working Group, government comes with the Ministry of Tourism. Who co-chairs? Is the Permanent Secretary of Tourism that co-chairs that technical working group, together with an industry head, say from the Tourism Council of Zambia. So it's president, or if you call them the executive, whatever title they have, but the one at the helm co-chairs that technical working group with government. Already you see what is being created. Trust has to be built. There's no decision that should be made by government alone without that tourism technical group not knowing. Just like the tourism technical working group should not go and conduct business in a certain fashion, minus government being aware. So the two chair. But the role of the PPDF in all that is to identify who are the industry players in tourism in Zambia, who are the associations, who are the heads, who are the members, what issues. So sit with these stakeholders, consult before the dialogue. What are your issues in your industry? How have they been channeled to you? So you'll find individual organizations that are part of those associations have sent in issues. The council itself there will sit and look at all the issues and submit them to the PPDF. Same with government also. A lot of issues will be taken to government. Do you know about this? So there has to be a bit of a validation process before a dialogue can take place, because you don't want to go into a dialogue setup and be told, no, but this issue you've brought, government in the last 5-10 years had gone to policy level. What happened was there was just no enactment. Or no, this issue was already tackled. So when issues come from the private sector, ensure that you validate them with the public sector before the dialogue. If they come from public sector, validate them with the private sector before the dialogue. But also we have a research team in the PPDF. So the research team will also look at what are the best industry practices in the other countries. And we don't need to go far. Botswana, for example, exports beef to Europe. The question is, how has Botswana, a few hours, 10 hours drive or 14 hours drive from Zambia, managed to do that and we're not doing it? What is it that they've put in place? So our team of researchers, the experts, will benchmark, they'll write all that. The idea of bringing that information to the dialogue is so that in case there are some gaps that are noticed, our team can easily say, oh, by the way, what you're talking about is being undertaken in Botswana and this is how they're doing it. So that both private sector and public sector can now say, oh, okay, we also have the ability. We have the capability to do this. What will be the process? Okay, this is how we'll move from point A to point B. In a year or two's time, we'll be like Botswana. Agreed, agreed. The idea is that it's a win-win situation, but with a focus that business has to grow and jobs have to be created.
So for the past 2 years, how
1 year plus.
1 year plus.
You're already in 2.
Okay, 1 year plus.
Yes.
What has been the accomplishments of the forum, and also how well are people aware that
that we're existing,
that you exist?
Yes.
And
that's a very good question. So our achievements, I think to start with is the fact that, you know, the dream, the idea itself or the model was able to be adapted from other countries, the tiger nations, the BRIC nations. How did they get out of all the poverty and become superpowers? It's also been brought to Zambia and was finally launched by President Hakainde Hichilema, by the government. Donors who, cooperating partners attended that launch were happy. So just number one, that is a great achievement, that you can bring something new. It's been there. PPD has been there in Zambia before, but probably not at the scale and style it's come back. Yes, there's still a lot of upscaling that will happen. So that was number one achievement. Number two was that, look, in the shortest period of time, 8 technical working groups were able to be set up and dialogues took place. And some of the issues that were agreed in those dialogues actually were appropriated in the budget, in the 2023 budget, and I'll read out some of them, which is a great achievement for us. We've launched a website that has a form on it. It's a live form that you can go to and key in the bottlenecks in your industry and submit to us. It's instant. We'll receive it, and the issues will be looked at by our team of technocrats in the research team, who will be able to say, this is something we can fuse in the next dialogue, is something that needs to be talked about, or pass it on to the stakeholders to validate, is this true? So that was another achievement. Another achievement is the fact that, you know, we were able to engage with media from the onset. Day one, we had a big media engagement. We've involved the media. There's been more than 60 consultations with more than 60 different stakeholders, international, local, government itself. And another achievement is just that, look, Cabinet Office is now working with the PPDF very closely to ensure that PPDF does not fail. The IFC coming on board is a big achievement to support the PPDF for the next 18 months, coming to an end just after August this year, but with an indication that more partners have come on board. But what is cardinal is just that the entrepreneur out there, or some of the business houses, have been happy that, look, our issues that were tabled last year found their way to even be funded or considered in the 2023 national budget. So for us, those are big achievements. We held the first private sector day, if you remember, yes, in this country, after a very long time, that brought together public and private sector to just announce the issues that were resolved in these technical working groups. It was well attended and well appreciated, especially by private sector.
So you mentioned that the PPDF was funded with the support of the International Finance Corporation,
yes,
which is a private lending arm of the
World Bank. Yes.
And they're supposed to be here for how long?
So the first funding bracket is for 18 months.
For 18 months.
Yes, which ends just after August this year.
So what happens after August?
So you'll be glad to know that actually government has already put a portion of funding for us of over 3.5 million kwacha, yes, in the 2023 budget. And then we're already speaking to other cooperating partners. But Dr. Habazoka, I will tell you that in countries that have succeeded with PPDF, private sector involvement is key. So now what we are working on in order for us to upscale is to ensure that private sector comes in and supports PPDF. They start owning the process. So a technical working group, for instance, mining technical working group, we expect some private sector associations and their supporters to come in and say, we can actually, you know, support this.
I'd like to be very honest. So I attended the manufacturing sector one. I think it was brilliant.
Right.
The meeting was held at Cabinet Office. All governments, all the major private sectors were there, the big manufacturers, including maybe the small ones a bit.
Yes.
When we went to the financial sector, it's normally driven by the banking sector.
Yes.
I think my observations were that maybe the banks took a lead and it was much more choreographed to a level whereby, you know, the financial sector is divided into those registered by, you know, PIA, Bank of Zambia, Securities Exchange, but there's also the money lenders, for example.
The microfinances.
Yes, that were not represented. And, you know, I think the way I observed it was that maybe things were agreed before the meeting, and we could not table any agenda or any other business into the meeting. Going forward, aggrieved persons like me, what mechanisms do you have to ensure that at least every Zambian is heard, not only the bigger players?
Thank you very much. I'm actually glad that you bring this out on national TV as we are speaking, because there could be many other stakeholders that feel the way you feel. Firstly, at the PPDF, we don't plan anything backdoor. Everything is very open. Yes, issues are brought as agreed by two parties. What you need to do now is to just put it in writing very quickly to us, even tomorrow, to indicate that when you sat in the Finance Technical Working Group, you feel that the following issues were not tabled and tackled. That way, the team that runs with technical working groups will then quickly work around ensuring that when we open the season of technical working groups, which are coming up in just a few weeks' time, the manufacturing or the finance technical working group should first attend to the issues that you're going to raise. And it's very important that the micro lenders, money lenders are also heard. So if the banks were heard, can we have the lower bracket of money lending heard as well? So please do that. I would love to receive that letter, take it to our Acting Director General, and ensure that her and the team of experts run with it and it's sorted out. So to many other stakeholders, if you had sat in a technical working group and felt that you were not happy, that's why we're a dialogue table. We go on and on and on until it's a win-win situation. Please write back to us, come and see us, let's start afresh. Yeah.
We had the Small Scale Miners Association president, I think a month or two ago. Yes. He also expressed the same sentiments that things were pronounced and the association was not consulted. Small scale miners were not consulted. I don't know if they didn't sit on the technical group.
Okay, so I think from what I've said, it'll be good for them to come now. So if the small miners could please come back to the PPDF and let's start afresh. But I believe that, you see, when your associations are calling for meetings, if you are members, it's very important for you to go for those meetings. And I think that not just in the private sector, but even in the public sector, if we have to attain economic growth, everybody needs to play the game hands-on.
So just to attach the face to the name PPDF, who heads it, who chairs it, and where is it situated?
Okay, so currently we have an Acting Director General, that's Ms. Rosetta Chavala. Yes, our chair is the President, Mr. Hichilema, who is the Republican President of this country. But we do have a steering committee. The steering committee is actually the upper arm or the toppest in the hierarchy of the PPDF, chaired by the President. In there sitting ministers representing those line ministries of the different sectors that have been picked under the technical working groups. We also have the cooperating partners. We have Cabinet Office represented by the Secretary to Cabinet. We have the DG of the PPDF having a seat in the steering committee. And then any other people that go to the steering committee strictly go by invitation. And the reason is because there could be issues that will be raised in the steering committee that will require that some clarity comes from those individuals, or if it's an association represented by somebody. Now, the steering committee's major role is to ensure that those decisions that could not be cleared by the technical working group are now finalized at the steering committee level, especially those of the policy nature. Yes.
You spoke about the 8 technical
working groups. Yes. So far, yes.
So for this year 2023, which stakeholders?
Which other technical working groups are coming up?
Yes, and the stakeholders you plan to engage going forward.
So remember that the first ones that were already set up have not gone to bed. The engagements will also continue. because the work continues in these sectors. More issues will arise. Yeah, others will fall off very quickly because they are easy. The PS and his team at a ministry can sort it out. The Secretary to Cabinet can work on it. Other issues will require that they go through the whole meal, right to the steering committee. If they have a policy nature, they have to go through legislation, back to Parliament and all those issues. This year, we are looking at about seven more technical working groups that should be formed. There's business environment, there's green economy, if I'm not mistaken. Those two I can remember. There must be gender as well that we are looking at. Health, education, those are coming on as well, to name but a few. So we're still agreeing on exactly which ones, finalizing them, and then they'll be announced.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Economic Briefcase on Cabinet TV. Today we are discussing the Public-Private Dialogue Forum and its role in national economic development. I know most of you, our viewers and those that just listen to us, are entrepreneurs. Most of you like asking questions on how you can develop businesses. So this is actually your turn to maybe, communicate your concerns, your suggestions, so that maybe we are able to even pick it up from here, and maybe your suggestions will find themselves into policy. At this particular point, I would like to say that we are opening the phone lines. You can call us on the numbers that are appearing on the screen. Please, when you call, you tell us your name and where you're calling from, and just be brief. You can also send, if you are shy, you can send us your text messages on the same numbers that are appearing on the screen. Mr. Power, you had the thought before I interrupted.
Yes, I was just going to ask on the notable stakeholders in the 7 technical working groups that you mentioned, the notable ones. At least we're talking about the mining sector, the manufacturing industry. Who are the people who've been engaged, the notable?
So the Chamber of Mines, for instance, yes, even women in mining also have been, and the other smaller associations. That's why I'm a bit surprised when you said the Small Miners Association were not, because that engagement, the consultation was there as well. So those were spoken to. Okay. When you go to tourism, you have the Tourism Council of Zambia. You have
so that's what you thought. We have our first caller. Your name and where you're calling from? Your name and where you're calling from? I think we are having some challenge, but please call back. Call back. Our directors are going to work on that.
Yes.
You were saying?
Yes. So in manufacturing, for instance, the Zambia Manufacturing Association of Zambia has been consulted. They have representatives sitting on the technical working group as well. So a few of those notables that you want to know. So Bankers Association of Zambia, for instance, the Pensions and Insurance Authority, I think you talked about that. Yes, all those associations to do with insurance, each one of them has sent a representative to sit on the Finance Technical Working Group. So we are not, PPDF, whose consultation is very vast. We try so hard to ensure that all the industry players at least are consulted, and their representatives find their way and they sit on the technical working groups. That's why I was saying if there are any that have been left out, you need to come and speak to us. You need to come to our offices. We have a caller.
So, I like one thing about PPDF. When I was Economic Association of Zambia president, I used to, despite just being EZ, I found myself having to coordinate business, associations that really wanted to go and bring to the attention of what were happening in various sectors to government. So here in this arrangement, we have the president, the one who actually pushes, and I've attended the meetings There's heavy representation. PSAs are there.
Yes.
The secretary to the cabinet is also there.
And the ministers.
And the ministers
yes.
are also there.
At the state.
How easy is it for, for just a small-scale pig farmer from Nchelenge to be able to, to put across their views and them to be taken? Which approach
should they
or
use?
How best can they go around that?
Okay, thank you for that question. It has come at the right time. So we also realized at the PPDF that there were so many entrepreneurs out there, like you've said, the pig farmer, the livestock farmer, who is sitting in the remotest of Zambia, but contributing to food security, yet has bottlenecks. Now, how do they deliver these bottlenecks to the PPDF? One, most of these are probably members of the Livestock Association of Zambia or Dairy Association of Zambia, depending on what they do. But also we have partners now, like the USAID Business Enabling Project, which through their own mechanisms where they also go into these remote areas to pick information on what is impeding business growth in the different sectors, are now working with us. So our team will be working very closely with the Business Enabling Project under USAID to reach the far-flung areas and collect those issues and come and table them. But of course, once they are collected from the remotest part of Zambia, they're still brought back for validation. You find out from the ministry, this is what we've gathered in Chelenge. What is your ministry doing about it? Fisheries, livestock, Ministry of Agriculture, what are you doing about this? These are the issues. After they've explained, okay, who's representing those farmers or just the farmers or the fishermen in Chelenge? They belong to this association, that association. Bring the association. Do you know this is what's happening to your members? Yes, we know. Yes, this we can validate. This has been sorted out. This is halfway. Then the dialogue takes place with the public sector.
You're watching Economic Briefcase on Cabinet TV, and today we are discussing the role of the Public-Private Dialogue Forum in national socio-economic development. You can call us. I think our director has done their homework, or else we are going to penalize them. You can call us on the number that are appearing on the screen. You can also send us text messages on the same numbers. Mr. Japao, you had the thought?
Actually, I was thinking about, because you're talking about associations, like
yes.
you contact these people through their associations that they belong to.
Yes.
But there are those individuals who might not belong to an association. Let's talk about, let's say, the welders, the artisan
yes.
workers, and all those people who are affected,
yes.
but are not really, they don't
belong to an association. You know that government, the way government is created, it has a way to cater for all these people. That's why I just answered to say we have to reach everybody, the remotest of people. There are partners who are saying this is what we are doing in these remote areas. In there you reach the smallest. So you start looking at cooperatives as well. Yes, because in some of these remote areas there are cooperatives. In Lusaka, let's pick a welder from Kalingalinga who has a bottleneck, isn't it? Our steel welding, manufacturing, that area is not very... So their issue can come direct to PPDF, but we'll still pass it through the Association of Manufacturers. Because what they are doing, the welding, is manufacturing. Yes. So we'll find out, do you know about this? How are you working with these people? How can we help? And because the Association of Manufacturers, obviously, they're experts in there, they'll also be able to guide. If it's issues to do with maybe the welders saying, look, we're hit hard with load shedding. Production is low. And I think you had that topic, was it last week or the week before? Yeah. I watched that, yes. We're hit hard. How can we be helped? If we have a ad hoc technical working group on that day in the energy sector, those are issues that you table to the energy experts. Government will be in that technical working group, co-chairing with the private sector. This is what's happening. They cannot afford a genset immediately. Any other source of business, where can they go to a microfinance, which he mentioned? Probably, is there a channel where you can link the manufacturing and the financing and say this will be the solution? Small loan to this welder, every day he should take 20 kwacha, yes, to the microfinance. and eventually the genset becomes his. So complicated as it is, there are solutions. Through the website, we've received individuals that have just written to us to say, this is the industry I'm involved in, and these are some of the issues. And those issues did find themselves in the budget 2023. After now validating them, sitting with the industry representatives and heads, and finally dialoguing.
We have a contribution.
Yes.
I think I'll write tomorrow.
Yes.
We need to create in Zambia what is known as the National Credit Regulator to also regulate and speak for the micro lenders.
Fantastic.
Because I sit in the finance technical
working
group, so
yes.
I'm just saying it on TV, so that the chairperson of PPDF can hear that I've made such a suggestion. Director, do you have any messages? Good evening, Madam and Sir. Please help understand how our economy has stabilized while there's an increase in fuel prices, load shedding, high minimum prices, but pronouncement are that our economy is doing fine and our economy is on a single digit. How and what measures is government using? Son from Frida. I think a bit off tangent.
Yes. Yeah. I think I can't answer that. That's yes. For you, the economists. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and I don't want to spoil today's topic.
That's right.
So, which activities for this year,
have been lined up?
Have been lined up.
Okay.
And, how can the cooperatives participate in ensuring that? Because people on the ground are the ones that see the bottlenecks, the impediments.
Yes.
So, how can they organize themselves? What activities are you doing sensitization across the country? What are the activities that you have?
I like the part where you say, are you doing sensitization around the country? What we're doing right here is the start of the sensitization that we've been working on. You won't believe it, yesterday we sat in a meeting and every second word was comms. We need to get out, we need to speak, we need now to put the message out there so that people understand. And now we're going to build a robust channel where people are clear about how to get their issues to PPDF. There are those that are structured in their businesses, they'll go to their associations. There are those that are not structured, not very structured, but they probably belong to a cooperative. But we also want to make sure that we no longer sit here and just use English and speak in English. We have to find the people that know how to break down these terminologies into the local language. So we'll go into community radio stations and meet our friends in the rural areas. We meet them far-flung wherever they are on community radio and talk to them. Also use the influencers. I'm sure you know that there are influencers in different sectors of industry that are able to go to any part of the country and people will listen to them. So use an influencer to talk to our people, educate them about the PPDF, and also tell them in their area where they can channel their issue and how it will finally get to PPDF Lusaka.
Finally,
we have a caller.
Yes, your name and where you're calling from? We seem to be having some technical challenges, but you keep calling. God is going to answer us. We're a Christian nation. You can also send us some messages. Director, do we have any more messages? Some messages?
So you've come up with a DECOD private sector.
Oh, would you like me to finish the activities?
Oh, the activities. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Japao. So other activities will include, of course, the formation of the technical working groups that we've talked about, the 7 that are coming up. We're still going to hold the private sector day this year, sometime after June, where we'll again bring together the public and private sector at a larger scale. And this time the activities, I think, will be a bit more robust. We want to allow for a networking session, a few side sessions as well, whilst we announce the achievements of the PPDF and the next steps of the PPDF. We'll be looking forward to the steering committee at some point this year meeting and making some announcements as well around which issues are going for either policy review or it will be, a whole new policy being enacted.
Sorry for stopping you for the third time. Let's hope this one will go through. Hello, your name and where you calling from?
Hello?
Yes?
No,
Yeah, I'm quiet. Can't find any kid to him quiet. Anishi tamama napo CGF nango. Insho tamama napo. Okay, to amfwa to ala lemba. Kai more private sector to ala serious. Thank you very much for calling.
True. These are issues that should be tabled as well.
So the colleagues, they want to do business, but I'm sure their source of funding is CDF, and they're saying they haven't yet seen it.
Yes. So then, if this is an issue that should be brought up in maybe the upcoming technical working groups or an ad hoc around CDF, that's important. Local government will have to come and sit in there and explain, and all the other stakeholders that are handling CDF funds and disseminating them to the people. Because this is not the only issue that has come out around CDF or him alone. I think we've been hearing and seeing all these issues, people saying, I don't even know where to go. Yes. So on an ad hoc dialogue, in that case, would say, number one, from the government side, who is in charge of CDF disbursements? Who holds the CDF pot? So they'll say, it's us. And this, we send it to the constituencies through the constituency development funds or whatever they call them. From the private side, who is overseeing that on the ground people have access to these funds? These are the people. Can you speak to these issues, these bottlenecks that have been raised? Yes, we've heard blah, blah. Yes, we've experienced. Come to the dialogue table. What is the solution?
Do we expect, Zambians, of course, they want to interact with the president, and there's no better way of interacting with the president than in a seminar, in a what where people maybe can also, bypass bureaucracy and, speak direct to the head of state. Do you have any events lined up, conference, or where, not only the you and the me's are there, the some of us are there, but the actual, what type of, do you plan any activities in that sort?
So our communication strategy is being finalized. We'll go into a quick validation. I think from there we have a number of activities, not exactly the way you've put it, and not exactly to bring the president.
Sorry, my question is less important than the question.
Yes.
Hello?
Hello, your name and where you calling from?
This is Leon calling me from Kaoma, Western Province.
Which one, Kaoma?
Kaoma, Briefcase, the board.
And sure. Your question?
I just want to contribute. I want to ask the cabinet management, more especially the Mr. Pastor Chishimba, my wife and I. We are enjoying the program.
Thank you very much.
The only problem we have in Zambia, I'm following what the madam is saying there. Most of the people want to put things straight. They get compromised the politicians. I remember Howard, economist Dr. Howard. He was very keen as far as our economy was concerned in Zambia. But the former government threatened him and they compromised him. So I hope you people who are in, you'll be firm and controlling in this position. I thank you.
They say, despite the fact that the president is chairing,
yes,
should not compromise, whatever that means.
Yes, yeah. I mean, absolutely. He has a point, yes, very valid, that we professionals tend sometimes to swing to the political side. But like I said when we started the program in the opening, that there's been a realization, even from the president himself, that if government continues to control business, there will be no business growth. You are a renowned economist. You know that countries that have succeeded in business growth, half the time they've had that business owned by the private sector. Yes. So that's what needs to happen in Zambia. If I'm an entrepreneur today, I should feel that the government has created an enabling environment. For me to register a small business, I should not be paying for 100 licenses. And these are the issues the PPD is looking at.
We are going to yes, you can tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, I'm Monga Ankani.
Ngamamba Wadara.
Hello?
Ngamamba. Ngawatu.
I'm calling the second.
Okay, you know this on Dongas today. You want to terrorize the studio.
Okay, sir. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Though I've joined late, I just wanted to find out on the issue of, the issue of buying shares and companies or the successors. And there are investment policies on how one can invest. Yes, I've heard the issue of having, attending functions where the president is, or people, in high positions. Yeah, we can attend those, but we don't have better funds or better motivators. There's nothing which we can do. So we need that, people, even these who are not known, they can help us grow. Because this time just depending on salaries, wash. Yes, we need to invest some. So on the issue of buying shares, I think I need help on that one. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Also, a little bit of
interesting.
tangent.
Maybe you need to just say something
maybe
to
that's
him.
why we don't disappoint.
Yes.
So it depends on where you want to buy shares in. So if you want to buy shares on the stock market, I know PIA is going to maybe be upset with me. I would advise you start a business. And today's program is about the public-private dialogue forum, a forum that makes it very easy for you to do business. So where you are there in Sesheke, you can look at your comparative advantage. What do you have there? Is it kettle, litati, or what can you do there? Cashew nut or
rice.
What? So, rice. What problems are you facing there? So if you have those problems, your DC cannot sort them out. An organization has been created where you can cut all the bottlenecks and impediments, the bureaucracy, the red tape, where you can directly go and communicate, and they'll make it easier for you to maybe, to make it easy for you to do business, access to capital, and so on and so forth. But it's very good that you want to invest in the, capital markets, the equity markets, but I would advise you to do business. Maybe to buy shares in an already existing business, so that you are able to also occupy yourself the day-to-day activities of the business, get the salary from there, rather than waiting for dividends. I think I've
Yes,
But
thank you.
However, if they still want to go the same route, you can visit a brokerage firm and open an account with them. Then from there, they will be able to advise
But
you.
would they have a brokerage firm in Sesheke?
So they'll
So
have to
that's
travel.
yes, that's I think that's now the communication they want. Where do they go?
Yes, so from the take-up from there, from the Finance Technical Committee, we need to ensure that we make it easy for such people to be able to buy shares. Maybe our stock market is going to be more liquid.
Yes, so I guess in the next sitting of the Financial Technical Working Committee group, you can bring those issues up, and you, the gurus in there, can come up with a solution. But really, great discourse, around this, yes.
So you were talking about 10 licenses.
Yes, I was talking about you starting a business, and then you have to pay for 10, 15 licenses. These are some of the issues that the PPDF is ensuring that, look, private sector and public sector sit and dialogue over. Is it necessary that for a person to open a lodge, they should pay for 15, 20 licenses? Somebody said to me when we were attending the private hospital's annual general meeting, they said, look, for us to set up a private clinic or a private hospital, maybe our licenses will hit 100 or will spend over 80,000 kwacha. So how do you expect then the health sector to be a robust industry? So all these are issues that now at some point will be tabled in the Health Technical Working Group, which is listed amongst the technical working groups that are about to be set up.
I'm running a small business, and every January you need to renew the license.
Yes.
And the license state and the local authorities. I'm telling you, you need to injecting new capital specifically to be able to meet those licensing requirements. So how are we going to produce an entrepreneur?
So absolutely.
And some of these fees have been going up, huh?
Yes. So those are all the issues. Remember that this is a presidential initiative. The president himself had been a businessman the longest. And one of the things he has always said is, I know these things, I've experienced them, and we want them to stop or reduce, because you can't go just across the borders and find a country or two where some of these licenses, the fees, have been reduced, or others have been squashed off. So can't we do the same? But can we do it in such a way that you and I, the entrepreneur, and all others out there who are entrepreneurs, do not feel shortchanged? In the same vein, government does not feel shortchanged. But by the time they leave the dialogue table, the two parties have a win-win situation. Yes.
Director, any messages? Our director is in a bad mood today.
No messages. Yes. Yeah. So that is where we are. I just wanted to read out for you some of the issues that were PPDF national budget results. These issues were tabled in the technical working groups last year, and at the time of the pronouncement of the budget, it was actually discovered that government had considered a lot of those issues. One that brought excitement was government in the 2023 national budget had reduced the upfront license fees for domestic courier operations from 15,000 to 10,000, and local couriers from 10,000 to 5,000. Something in the past that people thought could not be achieved, the amounts would just keep going up. But because of dialoguing, and we want to say to Zambians, for us to attain economic growth and job creation, dialogue between the private sector and the public sector has to continue. And it has to be organized, it has to be structured, and it has to be result-focused. Implementation at the end of the dialogue has to take place. So if we've agreed that this policy is now in void, it should be non-existent, the implementers who are now the civil servants, the government, and the team should also ensure that that is implemented. Another issue was government had removed the 15% withholding tax on investment income on life insurance funds. Yeah, though clarity is needed if this will apply to pension fund investments. But just the fact that there'd been that review. Okay, then the other one was the abolishment of the two-tier taxation system and replacement with a single tax rate of 35%.
Okay.
Yes. So this was on the high tax burden that was stifling market
meaning,
expansion.
Banks, so the corporate income tax now is 35%. Or I just want to understand.
This is review of corporate income tax, yes,
okay,
for the sector. So
for the sector.
Yes, so the benefit was that additional mobile resources for mobile network expansion. This was, if you remember.
Okay, yes.
So then there was the abolishment of that two-tier.
Yes.
Of the taxation system. Instead, it was just replaced with the single system. So these are you are aware, especially having been still an industry player, that some of these sound very minimal, but the impact on business, the fact that now a business can grow because this small impediment has been shifted away, they can now work in this enabling environment, is amazing. Before you know it, a business will grow. What happens with business growth? Expansion, job creation, and that is what we are aiming for. Yes. There are many issues. The total of the issues were more than 20, about 24. There are so many. If you go to the PPDF website, www.ppdf.org.zm, you will find the country brief. And in the country brief, these issues have been well listed.
One of the most successful countries, I think I read, where it was Botswana, where the public-private dialogue forum is. What lessons can we get from there? How are you interacting with them?
So the direct interaction hasn't commenced yet, but we are picking a lot of lessons from them via research. Already, for instance, on livestock management, disease control, decentralization of disease control. If you notice, in Zambia, we had very few disease centers for livestock. So it meant you moving your livestock from one province to another for whether it's vaccination or dipping or whatever it is. And by you moving the livestock, what happens? Either you're spreading disease or your livestock will actually be infected by other diseases. But now, because of dialoguing, the Ministry of Agriculture, together with Livestock Association of Zambia, the dairy producers, we'll see that very soon we'll have a few disease control centers decentralized in different provinces. And this has already gotten an allocation also in the 2023 budget.
You didn't ask me to ask this question.
Yes. I don't even know the question.
You shouldn't be in trouble.
I shouldn't be in trouble.
I'm very worried. This is a very important forum.
Yes.
Because government and business should talk. But I'm looking at the sustainability going forward. I'm coming from a history of running an association where membership was voluntary. So if it's voluntary, people will pay when they want to pay.
Yes.
And in most cases in Zambia, people don't pay. And I'm also looking at IFC, 18 months going, and you getting funding from the budget. I don't want to repeat the amount, but that amount is not even enough to organize a forum at Intercontinental. So going forward, are we not going to lose momentum? Is there assurance that this forum has come and that 30 years from now, it will continue in its same shape so that business and government can be able to talk? Because where there's no talking between these two parties, the economy cannot go forward.
Everything crumbles, eh? Yes. So my role is, part of it is strategic partnerships, which entails that we have to resource mobilize. But in strategic partnership, when you resource mobilize, sometimes there are components of your project, components of your forum, components of your unit that you shift to like-minded partners. So we're looking for partners, especially private sector, that is able to say, okay, PPDF, this 1 year of 2023, we as Chimtengo Investments are going to take over the convening of the technical working groups. You hear that, eh? So they'll be in charge, they'll look at the venues, the logistics, modalities, everything. All PPDF now will do is our team of experts will focus on the research, on putting together the information, communicating to all the stakeholders that this will take place. So already that component of the cost of convening technical working groups has been taken away. PPDF cannot grow minus private sector involvement, not only in the technical working groups, but also in the affairs of how the PPDF is run, and sustainability especially. And like I told you earlier, if you look at is it the Cambodia or Indonesia Business Council, which is a similar model to PPD, but they just call it Business Council. They actually do have industries that have picked components of what they do. We have the Private Sector Day this year. We're already looking for a partner to say, we're here, bank so, manufacturer so, we're here. We are the ones that are going to run with the Private Sector Day for the PPDF in 2023. So it makes our work easier. So I think the component of strategic partnerships and resource mobilization becomes very cardinal in the affairs of the PPDF right now, ensuring that 3-4 years from now, it's not a bygone, or we once had PPDF. Like sustainability, continuity is important. And we want to receive as many initiatives and support of saying, you know, why don't you move your strategy to this angle so that it's more sustainable? Partners that will say, okay, we'll pick a research component for you for the whole Copper Belt province in the following industries: mining, you know, tourism, whatever it is on the Copper Belt. They research for us. They've taken that component. To think that PPDF will sit and do it alone won't work, because we are helping to accelerate business growth. Who's going to own that business growth? It's the private sector. Who's going to create that enabling environment? It's the government. So help has to come from both ways, but more so private sector, because we are told, and we've all come to realize, that the private sector has to own this economy.
So I think you have heard, viewers, the banks, I don't want to mention their names, they made profits of over $1 billion kwacha. So apart from sponsoring the economic briefcase on Camry TV, you need to pump in money into the PPDF, and in turn the PPDF is going to use economic briefcase as that communication channel to the nation.
You're very creative. You're very creative.
Yes. As we wind up, Mr. Njapao, your thoughts?
Actually, one last question on the dialogue between the public and the private sector. When we look at the heavyweights in industry, those who control the industry, and you find that those are the first people to be engaged in these dialogues, isn't it? So when they're lobbying, isn't it that most of them would want to lobby in their own interest and basically overshadow the small players?
You know, you've asked a very important question, because we've sort of experienced a bit of those kinds of challenges. The PPDF is not a platform where you come to lobby. Yes, because we are not implementers. So for us, bring your issue, we validate your issue. Private sector, government, what is the issue here? We know that there could be people that are not happy because perhaps there's a policy they want squashed off somewhere, maybe a license, so that their business thrives because they're a big industry player. But yet again, will PPDF be doing or playing a fair game if we lean more on those? What about the small scale in that industry? And government is very aware of these issues. You know, and there are times when we've had government even say it on some of the dialogue tables, like, but if we do this, we squash off this license, or we allow this, it means that the small scale industry is dead. So that it's not only a light bulb moment, it's something that is sitting in our face and we're fully aware of it. The heavyweights will always be there, and they want certain things to lean towards them. But the idea of dialogue is that it's structured, it's organized, and the results that it yields are implemented so that the environment for all private sector players is enabling from a government perspective, so that there's business growth.
You have permanent offices, not so?
Yes.
Where are your offices located?
We are on 12 Lugwa Road in Rhodes Park. Lugwa is off Tito Road. Okay. If you know where ILO is,
Yes.
We are in the same road with ILO. We're actually on the corner of Tito and Luwa Road. So immediately you enter Luwa Road from Tito. We are the first house on the left, grey, and we do have signage on the gate and outside on the wall which says PPDF.
Colleagues, instead of complaining on WhatsApp groups and saying, giving your ideas,
Yes.
You can use the website of the Public-Private Dialogue Forum to present your views. If you have time, you can walk to their offices and also go and interact. If you want really to improve your businesses. You were watching Economic Briefcase on Cabinet TV. Today with me was my co-host, Noah Ndapao, and our guest today was Director, Strategic Communication and Partnerships, Public-Private Dialogue Forum. I know how to say it now in full. Madam Jacqueline Chishimba, and I was your host, Lovinda Mazoka. See you next week, same time. Connected topic. Bye-bye.